Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Daniel Knowles, coming to you from an altitude of 5,280 feet in Boulder, Colorado. And I'm very grateful for our subscribers, which are growing everywhere I go these days. People say to me they're grateful for the Mile High Podcast and enjoy listening to them. So I would like to ask you to please, if you're listening to this, subscribe on iTunes. This is on iTunes, YouTube, a number of channels download on the world, and you stay in tune with the Mile High movement. And on that note, also mark your calendar in permanent ink for the Mile High weekend, which is coming up 2017, August 17th to 20th. We'd love to see you there with your team. Always bring your team to events so they can grow and support you. And you can register at www.milehighchiro.org. And I am very thrilled to be here with our guest, my friend who practices in Peru, helps run offices in Peru, I should say, used to practice in Peru, Dr. Michael Sontheimer. And welcome to the Mile High Podcast, Dr. Michael.
Well, thank you. And by the way, I want to say congratulations on the success, not only of this podcast, but of course the Mile High event. Fabulous. Definitely get there. If you haven't been, you make it, like you say, permanent ink on the calendar. If you have been, well, you're probably going to go anyway because you know how awesome it is. But thanks for having me, Dr. Knowles.
You're welcome. And on that note, actually, I want to give you congratulations, too, on your new engagement and pending wedding.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, that'll be in April down here in Lima, Peru. So if you happen to be down here, let me know. You're certainly invited.
Well, there you go. I mean, it's another reason to go visit Chiropractic Utopia.
Absolutely. That's what we call it down here.
So let's start off. Now, you run a number of the Shubel Clinics in Lima, get into how and all that. However, one of the reasons I'm really excited to interview you, have you on the podcast, is I want to have an expanded worldwide vision of chiropractic. I'm in the U.S. I tend to think like an American, right? And so I tend to think, and even worse, I'm a New Yorker, so I tend to think of just New York, even though I live in Colorado. And so I tend to have that small myopic view, and I want people to get this expanded view of chiropractic and its impact around the world needing to grow, not just the U.S. So tell us about your journey to chiropractic and then how you ended up in Peru.
Yeah, well, to make it relatively short, I went to Northwestern College of Chiropractic at the time. Now it's Health Sciences University, I think. And my education, like most chiropractors nowadays, was largely a medical education. Treatment of musculoskeletal symptoms or disorders for the alleviation of said symptoms. So I found chiropractic through outside sources, actually, during my tenure there. But I opened a chiropractic office when I graduated with a good friend of mine, and we really thought that we had all the tools necessary to go out there and save the world, and we were going to, no insurance, what we call straight chiropractic or subluxation-centered chiropractic. I don't know what the right terminology is these days, but basically only adjusting vertebral subluxations. And we failed, right? We didn't realize that we didn't have the tools necessary to have a successful practice. And so they often say one of the most dangerous people out there, and not dangerous in a damaging sense, but dangerous is the person who doesn't know that they don't know.
Right.
And that's what is happening a lot, in my opinion, in chiropractic students that graduate. So anyway, we did that for a little less than 2 years, and then just decided that we needed more experience. We needed more specific knowledge on running a business and what have you. A procedural setting as well within the office and all these things. So
just to
when that
clarify
dissolved,
a second, I just want to make sure I got this right. So you graduate from a U.S. chiropractic college and feel
That's right.
like you don't have the tools to practice. We got that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, I think
So
that's a common experience.
yeah, I don't think I'm the only one. But I was looking for work. We dissolved our practice at Minnesota, and I was looking for work, and really was frustrated a lot by the opportunities that were out there, as well as I had become kind of tainted in by having my own office with the insurance system, the disease care paradigm that the United States is under, and I really didn't feel that it was a solid doctor-patient relationship. I felt that there was a third party, which is usually an insurance company, that basically gets in the way. And so I could tell you what I feel that is in your best interest as a chiropractor, but that has to go through a filter of an actuary or statistician that gets to determine whether what I say is going to be financially helped out by them. So anyway, you know all too well the insurance system. Those things really started getting to me. So I said, you know what? This looking for a job is not working out, or associateship, I should say, is not working out. So you know what? I'm going to send my resume all over the world. Well, everywhere that's not the United States. And I'm born and raised there, love the United States. But at that time in my life, I had no kids, no wife, no house, really nothing to tie me down. And so if it was going to happen, this was the ideal time. And so I sent my resume out, and I don't even remember where all. I think to Asia, Colombia, Peru, Europe, Australia, I believe as well. And there was a chiropractor in Peru that was looking for somebody immediately. So I jumped on it. I came down. I signed a 1-year contract. I thought, this is great. I'm going to learn Spanish, get my abilities to run an office all honed down, and then I'm going to go back to the United States and practice there. Well, that contract ended, and I re-signed another one. I had met Liam Shubel during that time, and then 1 year turned into 2 to 3 to 4, and it's been almost 13 years now that I've been down here, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So it was actually at the time, my cynical kind of tainted view towards the system with which I was working in that led me to come down to Peru and ultimately change my life. And I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Well, that's a very important life lesson. Is very commonly the challenges we experience in our life will lead to new growth and new opportunities. Just like we want patients to realize that very commonly the symptoms and things they're experiencing are really actually a sign, and not necessarily something to be competed with in silence, but something that they need to grow from or make a change from. So it's kind of a universal life principle. So now you've been there for 13 years, and you didn't start out that way, right? I'm going to be here for a year or two or something. So now that you're there, I'm sure your vision has expanded, obviously. What are some of your goals for the advancements of chiropractic in South America?
Well, one of the beautiful things about Peru specifically is that chiropractic really didn't arrive until the early 90s, and there was only maybe a couple. Walter Sanchez was one of the first chiropractors down here. Many of you may know him. Amazing chiropractor and person. And so there were only a handful of chiropractors. The word chiropractic, in fact, wasn't even known. If you were to say to somebody, I'm a chiropractor, they really didn't have any idea what that was. So we basically had virgin ground, so to speak, in the realm of chiropractic. And so the vision of what B.J. Palmer had of a utopian society and all these things really felt like it could be a reality. Because we've got this huge country. Peruvians are largely into natural healthcare. They don't like to take pills and medicines. They don't want just give me a potion to make my symptom go away, and then
Right.
I think I think I'm healthy. So we had all the ingredients. And when I met Liam Shubel initially, he had, at that time, he had 3 offices here in Peru. And then when I started working for him, I started working in the 4th. But he really didn't, you know how they run an office, and also do on a scale like together. We just, there was a G and great principles that were like, you know what, this could easily support 100 chiropractic offices. At that time, there were probably 8 to 10 in the whole country. Right. And so for 24 million people, that's not very many chiropractors. So vision with that. And at that time, Liam was living full time here in Peru. And so we spent a lot of time, we lived there, and just had a lot of time to develop these ideas. And then our good friend, whom you know, Christopher Taylor, joined on board as well. And we had this triforce of, all right, let's go out and explode chiropractic, principled chiropractic. And that's what we did. So, you know, our vision is to, you know, is always for every man, woman, and child to receive the opportunity to have chiropractic care for their whole life. And that's a big vision. So you have to start with what you can do, and that is, you know, in having various offices. You know, me as a person, as a chiropractor, I was never what I would consider really high volume. You know, 400 people a week. To me, that was pretty much where I was, and I just realized, wow, you know, if I can only see 400 people a week, which could have been more, of course, but if I had, you know, 10 offices that were seeing 400 people a week, that's 4,000, and I know I can't see 4,000 people a week. So that started the mission of spreading chiropractic. But there's one other aspect that's really cool in regards to Peru and a lot of other countries in the United States where chiropractic has not yet been heavily established, is that you get to educate the public in a very pure sense without a lot of predetermined stereotypes or false information that they have. And I know in the United States, you walk up just and you ask place chiropractic, and even in your office, you've seen the years, there's a lot of people that when they come in, they already know more about chiropractic than you do. They're happy to tell you that, right? So here, you don't get that. Nobody's heard much about it. So when they come into the office and you tell them for the first time what chiropractic is, that is their first chiropractic experience and education. And that, it's a huge responsibility, but it's an amazing privilege to be able to do that. And still today, you know, we're in 2016 right now, and I would say 99% of all the new people that come into our office in their first consult, it's the very first time that they've ever been told what chiropractic is.
Right, right. Yeah, and then you are defining it for culture.
That's right. Yeah, it's much bigger, and that's, you know, with the associates that we have down here, some of them are you know, recently out of school. Some of them have been in chiropractic for many years, but that aspect is something completely foreign, quote unquote, to those chiropractors from North America specifically. I can't speak for the entire world, but as an American, I can definitely say that in the United States, you're out there combating an already determined, if you will, a professional image that chiropractic has. And that's whatever that person thinks. You know, if they had a great experience, they might have gone to an upper cervical doctor, they may have gone to a network practitioner, they may have gone to, you don't know. And so with us, we want to keep it very pure, and we have that opportunity. So that's an amazing thing. And for me and my principals, it's a huge benefit to be here in Peru because it's as pure as it gets.
Right. Well, and that's what we want to see. So now here's the thing. I want to get some real world numbers and real world tips for people. Now, as I'm listening to you, because let's think about you manage, I don't know what the appropriate term is, how many offices?
Um, Here in Lima, we have 9 provinces, Dominican Republic. Now, I don't directly run all of them, but we currently have 16 offices
Right.
Running and seeing people.
Right.
And of those, my responsibility falls more into the 10 here in Peru, but definitely involved in all of the others as well.
So you
So let's say
oversee
16.
16 offices, and you're directly overseeing 10,
Right.
roughly. Now, with that, getting that understanding over the years, roughly, how many people have you mentored, overseen in terms of associates? A guesstimate.
Yeah. I think we're right at the 100 mark.
Okay, so if you've worked with roughly 100 doctors and seen them, either they were fresh out of school or maybe they practiced for years and then they decide to take this adventure or this turn in their life for whatever reason, right? And they're going there. What have you seen has been the qualities that make the most important difference in the ones that are successful?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I would say that there's a couple of qualities that are extremely important, and a couple that aren't as important as I used to think they were. I was a pretty good instructor when it comes to those sorts of things. But number one is the humility to understand that what you know and your story of life and chiropractic practice, how things are supposed to be, may not be the most beneficial story,
Imagine
if
that.
that makes any sense. So when someone comes down and they everybody wants to set the world on fire.
Right.
Everybody wants to change the world through chiropractic, which is great. That's what we all do. We should.
Right.
But when it comes to being mentored or coached or even just instructed on a few things that come from lots of years of failure and lots of years of success,
Mm-hmm.
the doctor who says, no, I know better than you, I know that this is the way that it's gonna work, that person really struggles.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the negative side of your question. The positive side is that the person who says, you know what, I may not know everything, I'm going to do this, to see this, to experience this, they are far and away not just the most successful as far as the numbers of people that they serve,
Right.
but definitely in personal satisfaction and personal growth. Which for us, that's you could have a doctor that sees 1,000 people a week for 5 years, but if he or she leaves and they don't feel that they had any personal growth, then that's not really the point of this whole life experience.
Right. So teachable, coachable, mentorable is a huge, huge thing.
Yeah, definitely. And the other is a deep passion for helping people. And that may sound basic, but there are a lot of people, and with total respect to them, they're not really in this profession to help and just to serve. They're in the profession maybe to make a lot of money, which that's fine. Maybe to come down to Peru and have a working vacation and see Machu Picchu and go to the jungle every weekend that they can. And you also have people that on a more chiropractic side, they want to get people out of pain.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. They had neck pain. They got adjusted one time, and it was a miracle case, quote unquote. And so they want that for everybody else. And all of those can be very noble, reasons to be a chiropractor, but they're not necessarily directly related to loving and serving the world. So if you've got those characteristics that come above and beyond just giving, loving, and serving, those are the big differences that you see in people's success as well. The giver, lover, and server. I think it was Clarence Gonstead who said, "I take care of God's people, and God takes care of me." You can't give, love, and serve with no strings attached and not receive huge benefits
Right.
in the way of either personal growth or it could be monetary compensation as well.
Right. Right. And
So
and
those are the two biggies.
those are super important, and realizing, oh man, that you have to. So we're talking teachable, mentorable, coachable, and then we're talking that you want to really help people, right?
Absolutely.
And it's so often you see people that graduate or they've practiced, and it's like, oh no, I know it's right because someone told me this in class, and reality is different. Reality is different. So, what specific action steps would you suggest for a student or a practicing chiropractor that would like to get involved practicing in South America?
Well, I would say that the first thing to do is do a little bit of like personal soul searching. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure that it's something that you really want to do, because what happens a lot in not necessarily in our organization, but chiropractors come down and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so great. I'm going to hang a shingle. I'm going to open my practice. And then it's a lot tougher than they thought it was going to be. And they wind up not being here, more than a year or two. And that happens a lot because they wanted to try it out.
Right.
So I would say first you want to look for an associateship, because frankly, to go out and spend your own money and make big fat mistakes, I've done it. I'm sure you've done it. It's not fun. So if you're going to be taking on a huge endeavor like this, I would suggest, and it doesn't have to be our organization, although it's a great one, that you find an associate position that you resonate with, that you can take advantage of. That's going to allow you to make those mistakes, make fewer of them if you're coachable, and you're going to be making those on someone else's dime, not your own. And I say that as a business owner, it sounds kind of weird, but come make mistakes on our dime instead of your own. It's a lot of suggestions. If you are a website, we got www.shubelvisionwide.com, and we're in a associate position, but we have Chris Taylor and Lim and myself. This was years ago. We came up with this idea about ownership, because to be honest, some take that massive step of I'm going to pick up and try to relocate my entire, but they may to taste a little bit of that. They may want a bit of their time to a noble art like that. So you can always go mid trips, places that you might practice. Ours is mission tour.
Of course.
So, and we were trying to come to program, and that's no diss on other chiropractic mission trips, because there's lots of good ones out there. But we are a little biased, I guess, but it is the best ever. So you could do that as well. And if you're on vacation, chiropractors tend to be some of the most welcoming, well, in my experience anyway, some of the most welcoming people on earth when it comes to going to a different place. If I were in the Colorado area and I called you up, I'm sure that you would let me swing by, see your place. You'd give me an hour or two of your valuable time, have lunch, whatever, to talk about those things. So if you're going to be traveling somewhere, get in touch with chiropractors. I mean, it's worth a coffee to understand that you might want to be there, or you're like, wow, that really sounds terrible. I had painted a totally different image than what that guy shared with me. So those are the big things. Is do a little investigating. If you are going to like if you want to do it, which by the way, hats off to you. Let's do it. You can call us or another chiropractor who's looking for an associate, and start that way. Most places are a 1-year contract, so in a year you can learn a lot, and the learning curve is pretty steep when you get into a new culture.
Yeah. Now let's go into this area here, which is why, in terms of our profession as a whole, is it important to spread chiropractic, principle focused on subluxation worldwide?
Well, I always go back to the D.D. Palmer and B.J. Palmer. If we could rewrite history, which we can't, but if we could rewrite history, there's a lot of things that they didn't see coming that if I feel if they could look back, if they were still alive and look back, there were like some key moments and maybe movements or ideas that really kind of sent the chiropractic profession astray.
Yeah.
And here in Peru and in many other countries of the world, in fact, you can rewrite history in a way, because you get to start from scratch, basically. So you don't have to immediately jump into blending chiropractic as an alternative therapy to health conditions, like it's usually seen in the United States. You don't have to move it into medicine. You don't have to become a part of medicine to be a incredible one. One of the things I focus on here is I get the opportunity to do a lot of television interviews, and that's always something, and speak with a lot of medical doctors, and that's always something that in the United States, a lot of chiropractors feel this, I don't know, this tension or something between medicine and chiropractic, and quite frankly, if chiropractic continues down the mixed road that it's on, it'll probably be swallowed by mainstream medicine eventually.
Right.
I hope it doesn't, but that just kind of is the natural path that it would take if people don't try to make a change soon, which they are, you being one of the principal folks with what happened in Colorado, by the way. Applause to you and your wife. But anyway, not to get aside on that, is that doesn't have to happen. And so here in Peru, keeping things very distinct, neurosurgeons, medical doctors, those are very important people with very important responsibilities. It's just important as well to know that what we do is very distinct from that, and there is no competition between medicine and chiropractic. Everybody wants a healthier society. Chiropractors, aren't going to be able to eradicate slips, falls, major life trauma that some people will choose to go to a medical doctor for those things. So all of those things considered, basically the importance of chiropractic outside of the United States is that we can rewrite or recreate what may be a better long-term plan for pure chiropractic than what's going on in the United States right now.
When I graduated from Sherman, and when I went to Sherman, it did not have CCE accreditation. Right? That's how old I am. So, but it did not have CCE accreditation. So, what is interesting was you could only practice in certain states, and I actually could not go back home to my home state where my family was. I went there knowing I couldn't go back home, but I didn't care because I'd learned, right, that there's subluxated people everywhere. So even though there's lots of states where I could go, and there are people that would need our service, right? So people listening to this, I'd like you to realize that the whole world is there. There's not just the U.S., right? So you can practice in the U.S., and I love practicing in the U.S. I love being here with my family, so I'm not saying not to. However, to expand your thought process that there's millions of subluxated people in other countries that need what you have in your hands, that makes you one of the most employable people in the world. Even and employable may not be the choice of word, but like the ability to deliver a service that makes a difference that no one else offers anywhere in the world you could go is amazing. And this is a great way to get an ability to connect with another culture.
Absolutely. And actually, one of the things you said there is extremely valuable that most people don't, it never even comes into their consciousness, is that really when it comes down to it, the person who can deliver, obviously, a quality product or service, but one that no one else can deliver, their value will never decrease. Now, there may be more people that offer that service or product in your close geographical area, but we've got enough subluxated people to fill all the chiropractic offices, not just in the United States, but in the world. And we need more chiropractors. And when I say chiropractors, I don't mean someone with a DC degree who's going to offer subpar medical care to people, to try to get a piece of that action, to try to get part of that, medical insurance bank of money. I'm talking about people that just truly want to help others live a fuller expression of themselves through this life by reducing nerve interference in their body through chiropractic adjustments. That person is in extremely high demand in this world. And you may not think you are. You hear the horror stories when you come out of school. Oh, look how many chiropractors there are in Denver. Oh my gosh, I'll never be successful. Look how many. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Right.
If you've got that distinct, that core service that you're providing is separate and distinct from others, then you're always going to be valuable. And in my opinion, that's the one thing that chiropractors need to stay focused on, because oftentimes the watering down, if you will, of chiropractic, the communication, I guess I should hit on before we close this thing, is if you can't communicate that distinctness and value of what you're going to be doing, that's where it becomes difficult. And if you see, and I've seen a lot of associates over the years, and that is probably the biggest step or stumbling block for most people. They're like, I don't know, people just don't understand. Nobody wants this. So, and then you listen to their 1 minute chiropractic talk, or their 2 minute chiropractic talk, or 5 minute, and you're like, wow, that was the most boring thing I've ever heard in my life. You've probably, people are probably tuned out after a few seconds, because when you're communicating chiropractic, and when I say chiropractic, I mean the distinct and separate analysis of the spine for vertebral subluxation, and the correction of that through the adjustment. If that's what you're talking about, it's amazing. It's so interesting. Everybody is interested on that topic, but the way that it's packaged can be, not everybody has a doctorate in anatomy and physiology, so you got to bring your message down to layman's terms, and you have to make it enjoyable and valuable for the person who's listening. And this isn't a communications interview by any means, but I would suggest that you listen to guys who are communication experts, in my opinion, in chiropractic, you being one of them, Danny, Joe Borio, Liam Shubel. Well, the list is huge, but that's important. If you can communicate that, there is no competition in chiropractic, because what you're offering is so separate and distinct, and so needed by such a large percentage of the population, that you can't go wrong.
Well, and the last I checked, and maybe you can confirm this, I'm not sure if we need double-blind, placebo, clinical controlled studies, but we may. As last I checked, from all the scientific observations I have done, there is no shortage of spines distorted in the world.
I would concur with that. Yeah, I think that is a truth. Yeah.
Yes, and people can research that if they choose. However, I think they would find the same result overall through any research method. So, so there's plenty of people that need that service. You just have to communicate it, be teachable, be mentorable, and deliver the goods. And you can really make a huge impact and benefit at the same time while helping people, which is what you want to do. Health is, this has been said by many, health is the greatest wealth. So both for the consumer and the person that can really help people achieve that. So thank you for spending your valuable time all the way from Lima, Peru. This podcast episode will be coming out soon, and for those that are enjoying it, we'll put some information in about how to get in touch with Dr. Michael, and more in the blog post notes, and so you can learn more. We look forward to seeing all of you, everyone who listens to this, in Colorado in the Mile High City. Bring yourself to a higher altitude to join us August 17th to 20th, www.milehighchiro.org. By the way, on that, the early registration ends the end of the year, and so I'm sure this will be coming out before then. So if you're planning to attend, that's your time to save. And we'll put in how you can get the best mission ever, and Shubel Shubel Chiropractic Clinics, all in the blog post so people can have that information. So if you're driving and you missed it, don't try to write something down. We don't want to cause any subluxations while doing this podcast. You will have those in your podcast notes. You can get those by email. So and go to the page and have that. So thank you again for joining us. And remember to subscribe on iTunes. And we look forward to you seeing chiropractic continue to expand and grow. Thank you for all that you do, Dr. Michael Sontheimer.
No, thank you, Dr. Jones, and send my best to the family. Great talking to you as
Yes,
always.
great to talk to you too. And I don't know. I'm hoping we really talk about Shubel too. Didn't really have time, so hopefully that's okay.
Yeah. Well, by the way, I'm sure if given the opportunity to have one of these, he'll be able to talk a lot about that.
Well, yeah, there you go. We'll see. So,
Thanks
all
again,
right.
Danny. Have a great day, man.
Like our page on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Mile High Chiro.